It is our species' highest joy and passion to be able to interact in this unique way through this particular channel this day. How are you?
Greeting, Ryok. Long time. Miss you a lot. Much love to you.
Yes, our unconditional love to you as well.
Beautiful. Um, I have a few conversation with you. First, I would like to share my excitement and my happiness of the whatever manifestation I have reached, and of course, I would dedicate part of it of your support, and I would like to share that celebration with you. So I. In your few advice and discussion with you, and also with my dear brother Tyler, also changed many things in my way of living, including the diet, the energy, and improvement, and also manifested a proper, I would say, financial support from people, and that makes me very supported and well in my work. And that was sort of people you can call it a miracle. Now I understand it's not a miracle, it's something a really a good reflection in my reality of the growth that I've achieved, and I would like to celebrate that with you. So thank you also for all the
Yes,
support.
you're very welcome. We congratulate you on your successes. Right now is a very auspicious time, a very prosperous time. So the energy state of your collective at this particular time is heightened in a very
Mm,
positively amplified manner. So you'll find that during this particular window that you're experiencing, which will last just about until September, you will be able to draw a great deal of abundance and positive energy into your sphere. So these things will likely continue. These things will still continue once you move past September. The idea is, though, the energy theme that the collective explores will
agree.
change. And that's all
Hmm.
right, because you will have all of this wonderful goodness you have manifested to assist you in all the changes that take place along your journey.
Beautiful. And also, in my exploration of connecting with the divine, connecting with my higher self, connecting with all this, it was my excitement always to work with higher consciousness. Of course, now with this few discussion with you and the practices and the things, I feel my practice and my inner work evolved tremendously. I'm so happy with it, and that led me to a new exploration that I would like to discuss with you to give me more guidance and support on. In many of those practices that I discussed with you, and you told me if you continue this going up to become a source and come back, you will be rebirth as a creator. And I start feeling that realization of we can, all of us, be that creator in our reality. The more we realize that we are actually the embodiment of the divine, and that realization was amazing, and it it always stays with me in my practice. Now, I just saw in one of the practice, and another things is in this here and now embodiment of the divine, still my focus consciousness or my focus mind can elevate the more I can cultivate increase energy. That's what I saw. And the way that I saw it is like as if I'm harnessing more life force from the earth, and I'm harnessing or cultivating my sexual energy in circulation in my system, and then my solar plexus as the life force of the breathing, and then in my heart the power of the love, and then it went into my throat as humming or vibration, and then it went to my third eye and my crown, and it was superb. And I saw like as if this human vessel with the energy vessel like a rocket almost in a way, and this cultivation is taking me to a higher level of expansion. And I would like to ask you about this, if you have any support or realization toward that.
Sure. Well, remember that each layer and each level of your body will correspond to different layers and levels of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're working with the idea of the body and strengthening the body, you're working primarily on the earth level. When you are working on transforming and exploring sexuality, you're working on the lunar level. When you begin to work on the solar plexus and the
Mm-hmm.
heart, you're working more on the solar level.
I
As
see.
you move up into the third eye and the cerebral regions of the body, you're working more on the galactic level or the
Mm-hmm.
zodiacal level. And as you begin to merge those energies with the crown, you activate that source dimension of yourself. Now, that source dimension of yourself is not the final level, because even within source, there are multiple levels. For example, you have the source of this universe, but the source of this universe is not the source of existence itself. That's a higher level. So the idea is, as you are cultivating your energies, you're training your energetic system to be able to penetrate through each of these different levels. So the idea of that energy building and going higher and higher and higher is designed, just as you had said, to assist your consciousness in being like a rocket ship. So that way you can experience the multiple levels, not only of this universe, but of the source that has engendered this universe and the source that has engendered all of existence.
Beautiful. And I witnessed something, I mean, it's mind-blowing for us as a human, I would say, from our knowledge and from all the limitations that we come through, to see this even source, even this creation, it has many layers and layers. It was so good. Of course, I'm so happy with whatever I'm reaching right now, which is fantastic. But this idea of this increased energy, or increased vibration by this cultivation, as if my consciousness is expanding on the capacity of increasing this vibration, and I'm realizing that in that expansion I am higher self, or I am first I am higher mind. That's what I felt. I am higher mind. I'm a ball of light of high vibration and have access to many, and then I am higher self, and then I reached a point where this oversoul, where I want to ask you more, I felt it, but I did not have more cognition on it. I felt that even beyond individualize, I become like a small collective or something.
Yes, and that collective sensation is a connection to the oversoul.
I see.
Because the oversoul doesn't really experience itself as a singular being. The oversoul is an entity, or is an intelligence that is the combined experience of all simultaneous lifetimes that you're connected to. So when you link up with the oversoul, it will feel like you're linking up with more of a collective energy. It might be more challenging to pin down a type of persona, because the oversoul is running multiple persona programs simultaneously as each of the lifetimes. So you'll experience more of a collective sensation. There will still be a sense of you-ness to it as well. It might feel a little different than the you are personally familiar with, but there will still be a sense of you-ness connected to that. The level above that would be the source level. And once you merge with the source level, you will find that it might almost feel as if you're interacting with an alien. It might almost feel like you're interacting with something completely outside of you. But that's because that's the highest level up in relationship to this particular universe. So you could say it's the furthest removed from you in terms of density. It will, however, also begin to simultaneously feel like the ultimate you. That will be the paradox of it. It might feel like something completely other, coupled with the true you.
Still you.
And that's because you're sort of merging opposites.
Fantastic. Okay, so my other question on this is to support me on the oversoul. So my mind, when I come back, I trying to put the dot together. When I'm in that state of my oversoul and many incarnation, either on Earth or in maybe another planet, how that oversoul reside, I would say, to this planet, to this Earth, how many oversouls containing the whole Earth, and how they are the same oversoul of other planet also, how that relationship works.
All right. Well, in terms of all of the different people that you have on Earth, each of them will be linked to their own specific oversoul. Some of them will share the same oversoul as well. There are approximately 300,000 human oversouls that we can observe right now on Earth.
Okay.
Now, these, what you would call oversoul forms of consciousness, are not limited to the Earth. They exist outside of time and space altogether. They exist within their own dimensional plane. And within the oversoul's consciousness, it can create doorways, it can create portals, it can create what you might call dream worlds. Each of these dream worlds is a particular lifetime, is a particular incarnation. One portal, one dream world within an Oversoul's mind might connect to Earth. Another one might connect to Earth, but in the future. Another one might connect to Earth, but in the past. Another one might connect to the astral planes of Venus. Another one might connect to the stellar realities of Regulus. The idea is that the Oversoul is like a dreaming being whom is having multiple dreams simultaneously. Each, in a sense, is like a dream within a dream within a dream. You're familiar with the idea of those egg-shaped dolls that you can put inside of one another? The Oversoul's incarnational process is like this. That's what its dream worlds are like. It will create those dream worlds in a linear way, but it experiences them all at the same time, all at once. Each of those egg dolls is one of the experiences. The one at the center doll, this is the densest incarnational experience it is having. The outermost doll, this is, you could say, the most spiritualized or quasi-physical type of incarnation it is having. But the Oversoul itself is none of these things. It is instead the observer of these things. It can experience them all at once, like when all of the dolls are stacked within each other, or it can take them all out and see each one individually if it wishes. So it is like a lucid dreamer, and your physical lifetime and all lifetimes connected to it are the dream worlds that it's always connected to, but it can easily weave in and out of when needed.
Beautiful. So I start feeling something similar. You put it, of course, much better. So when they dream, are they projecting from their consciousness, the Oversoul, a construct of reality that we operate through? Like, for example, we have those Oversoul, the 300,000, for example. They encompass also plant, atoms, animals also, and then those are part of one projection dream, or maybe shared dream between all those Oversouls that creating Earth. Is that something like this?
Yes, this is accurate. Yes. So the Oversoul will project what you would call geometric patterns or thought forms from its consciousness into each of those dream worlds. And this will impact how those dream worlds unfold. So when you talk about the idea of most of human behavior being unconscious, things you're not aware of, some of that unconscious behavior, some of that energy comes directly from the Oversoul. And it assists you in many ways. Some of those unconscious energies can come from other levels of reality altogether, but some of them come directly from the Oversoul. Now, the more in touch you become with the Oversoul, the more aware you will be of those patterns that it is sending. And in addition to this, it's not just that the Oversoul is sending information to you and that's it. When you are thinking, when you are experiencing, when you are doing, you are sending information back to it.
Of course, yeah.
Now, as we had said, the Oversoul is having multiple incarnations simultaneously. So if you were to interact with a plant, for example, that shares your Oversoul, it would be as if there were an intense telepathic or energetic awareness or connection between you and that plant. If there were a mineral, let's just say, that was sharing the same type of Oversoul, there would be a very powerful connection, a very powerful link between you and that mineral. If you met another person on your planet whom shared an Oversoul, there would be a very powerful, very intense connection. And of course, if you meet another being, an extra dimensional that shares your Oversoul, there will be a very powerful, intense connection, because you will all be, in a sense, of the same source in a more direct way. So you'll be able to see yourself more easily in them, and they will be able to see themselves more easily in you. So there's all types of multi-dimensional communication that takes place within an Oversoul's consciousness and within the dream world of incarnations that it gives rise to.
So in that particular example that you give, sometime when I meet, let's say, someone, and I would like to either assist the person or send a thought or have a communication that I'm not able to do on the mental level, I connect with their essence or higher self and try to deliver the conversation or negotiate if he needs support or something. What's the difference between that and connecting with him on the Oversoul then? So what could be the difference then?
There's not too much of a difference. But the idea is if you are connecting to their higher self or their higher spirit, you're connecting to a dimension of their spirit consciousness that's more personally linked to them. The oversoul is still linked to them, but it's a little
Higher.
further removed. It's a little otherworldly. So it's like a trickle down effect. If you work on the oversoul level, because that's so far removed, that corresponds more with your stellar world. It has to trickle down to the solar system level and then down to the earth level. When you're working with their higher self, the higher self is more connected to your sun. Therefore, there's less time needed for the energy to trickle down. So the manifestation oftentimes is quicker. Now, if you work on that oversoul level, your workings with them will impact them in a very multidimensional way, because you won't just be working with them. You will be working with all incarnations they are simultaneously having and the entity that's dreaming all of those incarnations. So whenever you're working with higher self, it's closer to earth, it's closer to them. The effects are more rapid, they're quicker. They'll feel it more. When you're working with the oversoul, it's a little more distant, so it takes more time to manifest, but the effects can be far-reaching.
Clear. Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, it's clear now in my head. Okay, so the other question will be, so what is the spirit or the soul of Gaia with the oversoul? Is she individualized? Is it part of the oversoul?
So Gaia herself is, in a certain way, an oversoul, yes, because all of you, every being on her, is one of her expressions.
I see.
So you could say that Gaia is your species, and all Earth-based species, planetary oversoul. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting, because Gaia herself is connected to what you would consider to be a macro consciousness that gives rise to the idea of planets. So, for example, each of the planets in your solar system are expressions of the same planetary oversoul. Each one represents a different persona or a different dimension of that planetary oversoul.
And that planetary oversoul should connect with the sun, because the sun is the center of all this solar system.
Exactly, yes. So you could say in a certain sense that the sun is a manifestation of oversoul consciousness. However, even the sun is still an expression of that planetary oversoul. So the sun is not purely the oversoul of the planetary realm. There is another dimension of consciousness that even the sun is an extension of. So the sun, you could say, is a sibling or a counterpart to the Earth or to Mars or to Venus or to Jupiter. And each of these siblings come from the same mother source, which you might call the planetary oversoul, the oversoul of the solar system.
Yes, I see it very similar, but nice analogy. My old analogy was, so the sun and the Earth and all the planet, they are like the wives of the sun, and all of them in one family of big grandpa of the solar system, something like this.
There is accuracy to this. This idea is correct in a certain sense, in that the sun specifically nourishes each of the planets. In your material universe, the sun sort of is the caretaker of each of the planets. It balances each of the planets. It accumulates energy, and then it shines that energy down on Earth in a way that is very digestible for your world. So it takes these extraterrestrial planetary energies, and then it nourishes your world with them. Now, that oversoul, that is the planetary, the solar system oversoul, is a higher octave, it's a higher layer, a higher level of the sun. It is a type of solar intelligence, but it's not necessarily identical to your physical sun. It's a higher level of that consciousness. So the oversoul of your solar system is a type of solar energy, but it's a higher quality. It's not necessarily the same solar energy as your sun. That's a type of lower quality. It's still incredibly powerful, incredibly useful, and it does wonders for your world, but it is a denser version of that oversoul consciousness.
Okay, thank you. So that means beautiful. That means when I start working with the those concepts, embodying this divine self and divine source and all this, I start seeing those axes become available, and I felt that I need to work with them. I felt the things that I felt is I need to take charge or regain all of myself, and starting from physical body to all aspect myself. I was like, it's a long journey, but this is the journey. That there is no exit. There is no shortcut. I should regain all of myself, and that include my connection to the earth, to the sun, and everything become included in it. Nothing separated
Yes.
from it. So here, when I'm connecting with the earth, so I connect with the nature in the physical reality sense, but there is a sense beyond the nature of the earth, of the energy of the earth, and then connecting with the sun, or the sun as a rays, but also it's a being. I start realizing, well, I know that it's a being, but now I realize the more relation, that's important relation. I think I called it soul because it's old name, souls or solary. So I think I heard some word of solary. So I say, like, is the father solary, is the mother Gaia, and all this become an aspect that I read to regain this access in order to be total of. Maybe I'm coming closer to the oversoul, because the oversoul is all of them basically.
Yes, yes, it is all of them at once. And as you begin to activate all of these layers of yourself, and as you become aware of them in your life, you'll start to experience them overlapping. You'll experience them simultaneously. And that's when you will be at the oversoul level. Now, remember, reaching the oversoul level, the next step is stabilizing it.
Mm,
And that comes through practice, it comes through
mm,
repetition, it
mm,
comes through really fine tuning your consciousness so you can really express who you are genuinely in all moments. And as you do that, whilst also activating these different layers, they'll stabilize, they'll become
mm,
a permanent part of you.
mm. So is this okay? It's working, it's happening, and I saw it's a long journey. I'm practicing like always, like I always practice, but now it's much faster, much clearer. Everything is amazing right now in this moment, and so I want to celebrate that with you. But um, so is that because when once you told me if you have reached this, you're reborn as the creator, and then the whole those flood of realization start happening, and I'm in journey, or is just part of the journey?
Well, both. So even reaching that level and experiencing yourself as being the creator is just another step on that journey. Because remember, the creator is not finished, what you call the
Mm,
source of this universe. It's not
yeah.
done doing what it does. It is still creating this universe through all of you and through all the natural
Yes.
phenomenon and supernatural phenomenon that takes place. So once you experience a rebirth, allowing for you to embody that creator energy, your journey is still not over. Your journey is an infinite journey because
Yeah.
you are source, you are an infinite being. Now, you can evolve yourself in a manner that allows for you to fully transcend having to incarnate at all. And
Mm,
even when you reach that level, even when you have liberated yourself, as you say, from the wheel of samskara, it's
mm,
not as if you're finished. You
mm.
still have a role, you still have a part to play. As long as you exist, will have some type of role, some type of part to play. Even the
Absolutely.
most, you could say, high frequency angelic beings that surround the source mind have their roles, have their parts to play.
Mm,
Even source itself, as we have said, has its role, has its parts to play. And of course, you could say source has no part to play, has no role, because there's a dimension of source that is having no experience at
nothingness.
all. That's the interior dimension of the
Just
source. So the
is. Yes.
outer dimension of the source is what you would call the realm of infinite
Yeah.
white light.
Mm,
And
mm,
this expresses as all material and
mm,
immaterial things.
mm,
The inner dimension of source is what you would call pure nothingness. It's not
mm.
actually nothingness,
Nothingness.
it's
Yes.
something
Yes.
very different. But the closest term you have to describe it is
Yes.
total nothingness.
Yes. Yes. I saw this like the symbol of infinity, or maybe complex infinity. So the source of nothingness, that is just is, there is nothing else, is this is a zero, let's say. So zero has everything, but even if it's zero, that's what we know. And the rest of the infinity is all this projection, infinite creation, and layers of dimension and so on. I saw that experience a couple of times, and I now I recall that experience. It's amazing experience. It's allow me to remelt whatever limitation of this identity, and whatever possible in that infinity I can explore basically. So And there is no, I cannot explain. I'm trying basically, but this is exactly what you said. Is like there is a certain level of nothingness. It's a zero, and that's a dimension by itself, and everything else that come from this that has dimension and so on. And it for me it looks like infinity in our math.
Yes, yes, and that's what you're describing. Yes, that's what it is.
Beautiful. Okay, so amazing. So okay, I'm continuing that. I'm continuing exploration. Thank you for pointing the dots. It's clear now in my head. The other dot will be is um, some of part of my excitement still this kind of conversation of knowing the universe, knowing civilization, knowing like I still get excited about it. And in my practice, I would say I would receive download of knowledge. It still doesn't feel like conversation. It's not a conversation. What is still stopping me from reaching to that state where, let's say, in my astral practice, meeting with the being and having conversation?
All right. Well, there's different ways to go about doing this. One of the ways we would advise to start practicing this is through automatic writing.
Mm.
So we would say pick one question, one thing you wish to know. Do whatever energy exercises you need to do to summon the forces that are capable of assisting you in receiving that information.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have summoned those forces in, be that the forces of a being or a planet or a star or what have you, begin to relax yourself, ask the question aloud, and then write down whatever comes. Just keep writing. At first, you might be scribbling, you might be writing in gibberish, you might be writing words that seem completely non-connected.
Mm-hmm.
However, at a certain point, you will start to get words that answer the question and that address the question. Now, they might do it in a way that is symbolic.
Mm-hmm.
It might be you're given. It might be literal. All types of things can come through, but that's what we would advise. Focus on the being you wish to converse with, summon that being, that force around you, ask your question, and just begin writing.
Mm-hmm.
When you have another question and they have finished writing down what they need to write down, ask that next question aloud, go ahead and write down what comes through. And spend at least 30 minutes doing this. A couple times a week if you're able to. That will help you become proficient at it. And this is one way to go about it. You can also do other things. For example, you could take a full body mirror. Even a small mirror will do, but just make sure it's a mirror that you don't have to hold. You can just leave it stationary and you'll see your reflection. Whatever the energy is that you're dealing with, summon that energy around you and then put it into the mirror. Mm-hmm. Once you have achieved this state and this part of the practice, the idea is to then interact with your reflection as if your reflection is the being you've summoned.
Beautiful.
So ask your question to your reflection. And then as the reflection, which has been tuned to the frequency of the being you have summoned, answer the question. And go back and forth with yourself. That's another way you can do that. This is a way of using physical tools to hold the energy of these forces that you are summoning. At a certain point, you will not need the physical tool at all. You'll be able to summon the being around you. You close your eyes and you can have a conversation. But the physical props, the physical tools, the physical processes are very useful in the beginning to help your brain get used to what that's like.
I know the resistance that we carry as a human.
Yes, yes. And you're lightening that resistance up. You're transforming it, so keep going. It will get lesser and lesser until there's very little difference between you and these higher intelligences that you are drawn to.
Yes. Beautiful. I think, yes, the time ups. Beautiful.
It has been so wonderful to reconnect with you in this way.
Much love to you.
And now our unconditional love to you always.